Hey, Rick, Mike Leslie from WFA. For a team in your position, road team up 1-0 in a series, there are a lot of cliches that are thrown out there that you're playing with house money or that you get a free swing in this game too or whatever. What is your philosophy and how do you go about making sure your guys don't throw away the opportunity that tomorrow night presents?
And we're not using any of those terms or terminology. Look, this is a business trip. We're here to play these two games the highest possible level. We want to win every game we play, but process is so important, and it's a bit challenging with so much time in between the first couple of games, but we've got to turn it into a positive. And so, we just want to keep our messaging consistent. And there's things we got to do better, in game two than we did in game one. We did a lot of things well in game one, but that game was very, very, very close. It was not a 10-point game. It got to be a 10-point game when, they trapped and fouled a few times at the end. These are all going to be very close games. They're all going to be possession style games. And, we've just got to really keep our eye on the ball and keep our approach as consistent as possible.
Eddie?
A couple things, Rick. First, apart from JJ, is everybody coming out of game one and the practices okay?
Relatively speaking, okay. Maxi will be listed as questionable for tomorrow. He's been a little sore the last couple of days, and we'll hope that he's going to be okay. But he's went through parts of practice today, but did not go through the whole thing. Some was precautionary, some was because he's experiencing some discomfort. So we'll see where things are tomorrow come game time. There's a pretty good chunk of time, for treatment, et cetera, between now and then, and we'll hope for the best.
Callie?
Rick, you mentioned that you knew that Jalen was this is Callie Cal from Dallas Morning News. You mentioned that Jalen was really excited to make his playoff debut after not getting to play last year. So I'm curious, how did you see him kind of handle that motivation or that intensity, and what is it about him that makes him be at his best when it comes to crunch time in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, he's a guy that grew up around basketball. He grew up around professional basketball because his dad was a veteran player and played for 7 or 8 years. He's studied the game from an early age, and I believe that he'll eventually one day be a coach when he finishes playing. But he's wired to be a great competitor and to really relish these opportunities to play this time of year, which is really the greatest time of year when you talk about the level of competitiveness, the level of meaning in each game, et cetera. And look, was the best player on 2 national championship teams in a 3-year period, which is an amazing accomplishment. And all that stuff just carries over to his pro career.
Michael?
Hey, Coach. Michael Shapiro, Sports Illustrated. Going from number 26 in clutch offense last year to number 6 this year. The other night, you go on a 13-3 run to close the game. Why do you think you've made such an improvement in that area this season?
Well, a year of experience under our belt with a team that's relatively young certainly helps. You don't grow in life or in NBA basketball without some missteps and some tough challenges, and we've gone through a lot of that the last couple of years. And guys have done a better job. It's something that we've talked about headed into the season. We did more simulation work this year. And we always do a good amount, but we did even more this year, to prepare for these situations. And they're going to be, and the term clutch, I know it really is the last 5 minutes or last 6 minutes of the game. Is that what it is? Yeah. I mean, there's so many parts of the game that are clutch parts of the game where, you've got to respond to a run, or, you've got to make an adjustment as a team and do things better. And so playoff basketball is a great crucible to continue the growth.
Do these last two, Tim Cato?
Tim Cato, The Athletic. Rick, how do you balance preparing in practice for adjustments that the Clippers could make, without losing sight of, everything that you just need to do well as a team?
Yeah, it's a very good question. It's there's a balance, and we always want to have two-thirds of our energies directed toward our team and how we play and what we do. And then, the other third is, you've got to prepare. And some of it is anticipation or, setting up for possible scenarios, and things like that. But the truth is, it's much more important that, as a team, we're doing the things that help us be successful. Really on both sides of the ball. In the end, a lot of this comes down to, how well you take care of the ball, how well you rebound the ball. I mean, those are possession stats. And then, of course, putting the ball in the basket is a big part of it as well.
Nui?
Hey, Rick, can you recall another time in your career as a head coach or an assistant where you've been in this type of position, where you've got this young type of team right here that you can see some good things from, and how they balance going into a game two like this on the road?
Yeah, a little bit. In Indiana, we had a team that was a young team that was becoming a young veteran team. And so, my second year there, we were an underdog in our series, but it was different. We lost the first game and had to bounce back in the second game. Last year, we had the same opponent, stuff like that. Our group was a little bit younger, of course, and we lost the first game. So I'm not sure there if there's a great comparison. But the big thing for us is just to keep very focused on our process. Our compete level, our attention to detail on the basics, and then taking care of the ball and rebounding it. I mean, I sound like a broken record, but those things are going to be extremely important. And then, of course, we're going to have to deal with Leonard and George. I mean, those guys are, two high-level superstar players.
All right, thanks, Coach.